Well, it turns out Moon Tours is a pretty good testing ground for a lot of brands, and over the last couple of years we've had 7 different types of suspension on the 70 here. Doing 50, 60,000 Ks in 6 months means we put the stuff to the real test. It's continuous, hard work, tough tracks, heavy loads, really works the stuff hard. So some of the shocks are really good and some are really not very good at all. Now when it comes to shock absorbers, bigger isn't always better, adjustable isn't always better. However, as a general rule, of course, like anything, you do get what you pay for. Now when it comes to suspension on four-wheel drive in Australia, nearly every reputable brand is going to be offering you up Australian made springs, coils and leaves. All Australian made, all very good. So that is a bit of a constant between all the brands that you get. Now the difference between a mid-range suspension setup and a high-end range suspension setup really comes down to the shocks, and shock absorbers are what makes the difference. On this vehicle right now we've got Terrain Tamer's 3950 kg GVM upgrade kit on it. Now in that kit comes with a sway bar, because the 70s, a lot of them don't come with sway bars. So to be GVM legal, they put a sway bar on to control the body roll with the extra weight, progressive brake coils in front, and an 11-pack leaf spring rear in the back, which to me probably says it's about a 700 kilo constant load spring. Now when it comes to springs, you can't be too shy on putting heavy duty ones in. The reason is, people think that the suspension in their car comes with it and carry a ton, so it's good, it can do it, but it's really not cut out for it. If you could get a standard 200 series coil spring in the, from the rear, and a constant 300 kilo, which in my mind is the lightest, I mean, no one's really, that's a light spring, 300 kilo coil, and you put them side by side, you will just see how much difference there is in the thickness and the size of the spring. Now most of the coil sprung rears for touring, you're setting up with a 400 to 600 kilo constant coil. In a leaf, you're setting up with a 500 to 700 constant load leaf in the back. You put them next to a standard leaf out of a 70 or any other leaf sprung rear, and you'll see the difference in it. So that's what we've got in this, plus Terrain Tamer's TGS shock absorbers. Now load carrying, I'd say very, very good. It sits great. I've loaded up with a couple hundred litres of fuel, all the tools in the back for our tours. We've done about 5,000 Ks on them now, on up here in the high country. So pretty rocky tracks, steep hills, some high speed dirt, you know, mud, holes, all that stuff, you know, most of the conditions. And the shocks are their TGS Terrain Tamer shocks. So body roll really is handled a lot with the sway bar. The ride quality though starts to come down to the shock absorbers. And I can tell you now from experience that these shocks really work well. They're valved really well. The compression part of the shock is firm enough that you feel good control on the road, but plush enough when you hit the rocks and big dips, washouts, that it's not harsh coming through the steering wheel and rattling the car. Same when you hit corrugations. They're plush enough that they can soak up the corrugations and give you a real nice ride quality. And the rebound, which is after the spring and shock compresses, the rebound pushes the car back up, and the rebound is what stops the spring from compressing again and bouncing like this. So compression is the first part, rebound controls the spring on the way back up. So for a mid-range kit, which is what I'd call this, I would say great ride, really good at soaking up the rocks and the bumps and the corrugations. So for a mid-range kit for a 70 series, this Terrain Tamer 3950 GVM upgrade, I think is very good and worth the money. So it's worth giving a shot.